Welcome in. I'm Tammy Master-Birdie, best-selling author of the book The Universe is Talking to You. And I teach people how to harness the energy of the universe around them to create a life that they love living. And I teach them the tools to do it. So I come here every Thursday for my weekly spirit boost. And the reason I come here every Thursday for my weekly spirit boost is I want to sort of provide you with just a little bit of inspiration, elevation in the everyday world that we're living in, which tends to get crazier and crazier as we go on. And it's certainly a crazy time right now in the world globally. And I wanted to come on here this week. Often I come on and I share either something that's going on personally in my life or something that has come up in the week, sometimes in client sessions, in my one-on-ones or in teachings that I've done. And so this week, something that has come up over and over again is relationships. And struggling in relationships, whether that be with your spouse or boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other, whether that be with a family member, a child of yours, a friend, a coworker, a neighbor, struggling in relationships and dealing with relationships. And interestingly enough, to me, one of the biggest spiritual growth vehicles that we have available to us in this world is relationships. But we struggle. We all struggle with them. Our buttons get pushed from people. People will do something that hurts us. There are, so many scenarios and situations where we can take something personally, get offended, get hurt, get triggered, get aggravated, get angry because of something that someone else has done in a relationship. And so I actually taught an entire class on this last week with my paid membership community. I teach a class every month for them. And this February, I taught on relationships. And I walked them through some exercises to help them shift their perspective on their relationship with someone that they might be struggling with. We also did a cord cutting meditation. And then so that was, I think, last Thursday. And then Monday, I had a full day of sessions, back-to-back one-on-one sessions that I do with clients. And again, interestingly enough, the topic of relationships was coming up with people, whether it be, my health gets triggered. My health gets worse when I'm around certain family members. My symptoms get worse when I'm around certain family members. Or, I'm struggling with my husband, because we're going through X, Y, and Z. And different scenarios, right? And so I just wanted to come on here and just share something that I hope will help you maybe shift your perspective on relationships. And when I say it again, I feel everybody that comes into your life for a reason, whether it's for a short amount of time, a long amount of time, whether it's an intimate relationship, a family member, your parents, your sisters, someone that you meet on the street, whatever it might be, right? They're all divinely playing a role because I believe there are no accidents, there are no coincidences in the universe. So that includes relationships. What I want you to understand about relationships is we can choose to shift our perspective not only on what role these relationships are playing, but also on how we view someone. So I believe all relationships are divinely inspired. I believe all relationships are here to teach us to grow. There is a book. It's actually a children's book. There was a DVD on it years ago, like a movie that was made out of it years ago, because I remember showing it to my nephew years ago when he was young. I don't think it's on DVD anymore. I think it's just in a children's book form by Neil Donald Walsh, the guy who wrote all the books, Amazing Teacher on Conversations with God. And he wrote a book called The Little Soul and the Sun. And it's a parable. It's like a children's parable. And if you haven't heard about it, look it up, because it really is a very cool parable that It's not just for children, okay? It's for all of us. And so, anyway, the perspective that he takes is that what if you believe we choose to incarnate into this body, into this physical body, we choose to come into this world, what if the plans that we made, and I believe we choose our parents, I believe we choose our soul family, I believe we choose it all to learn certain lessons. What if the plans that we made beforehand were to act certain things out with people? I'll come here and I'll hurt you and you'll learn forgiveness. I'll come here and I'll aggravate you and you're going to learn and grow from this. You're going to learn to handle your emotions. You're going to learn to love no matter what. What if it's planned and now that person who's aggravating you, who's hurting you, who's upsetting you, who did something to you is just acting out that plan so that you could grow, right? Shifting your perspective. What am I learning? I'm here to learn and grow and learn to love no matter what, learn to forgive, learn to utilize the energy around me to create things, to remember who I actually am and why I'm here. What if every relationship is doing that for you? Every relationship is showing you something, is teaching you something. There's another amazing book by Helen LaKelly Hunt and Harville Hendricks. You may have heard this. It's called Getting the Love You Want. Whether you're single or not, I recommend this book. And in this book, they again shift their perspective on intimate relationships. And I remember years ago, and I said this in my class last week, years ago, Marianne Williamson saying, you could be meditating every day. You could be giving love to everyone around you. And then your intimate partner will do something. And all that spirit, all of that spirituality goes out the window. It's so true. But this book explains, again, sort of a spiritual perspective of it, where we all have wounds from childhood. Even if you've had the best childhood in the whole entire world and your parents were the most amazing people in the whole entire world, you still have wounds from childhood. And it explains how the people that we are attracted to, the people that we are in a relationship with, are the perfect match to trigger those wounds so that we can heal them. So again, looking at what is this person doing to me? What is this triggering in me? What am I supposed to learn? What am I supposed to grow? It's a very different perspective. And if you can, I find I talk a lot about shifting your perspective, shifting out of stress, shifting your perspective of things. If we can shift our perspective, we see things differently. We feel things differently. If we can shift our perspective on a person, we can have compassion for someone that maybe we didn't have before. But if we can go through life knowing that the relationships that we have, intimate or otherwise, are there to teach us, that every person around us is going through their own stuff, and oftentimes the things they do to us are not personal. If we can shift that and look at that in a different way and see that for the underneath, right? Not the what we're physically seeing with our eyes, but looking underneath it, it will shift how we hold on to things. It will shift our ability to forgive things. It will shift our ability to get triggered and angered by things in the same way. So my suggestion is for you to look at some of those relationships that maybe you're struggling with right now, that maybe you're in an argument with someone right now, that maybe you know you have to see someone this weekend and they are, a family member who drives you crazy, who triggers you, or whatever. How can you shift this from maybe this person came into my life to do just this so that I could react differently, so that I could learn something and move past this, so that I could grow as a person? Because oftentimes when we get the lessons, the things that are causing us to get the lessons go away. Oftentimes when we figure out our role in things and we change our reactions and we change our behaviors, relationships around us change. But we have to view it from a different perspective. And so I wanted to just come on here and share that because I know that relationships are just such a big trigger. Like I said, especially those intimate relationships. They're such big triggers for us in so many different areas. And if we can, I just realized comments. Oh, Jill, I'm glad you needed this today. So I was like, Tammy, there's comments coming in on Facebook and you're not paying attention. I just want you to view it from a different perspective. That's all. Oftentimes there are reasons behind it. Oftentimes there's something that you are needing to learn and understand from it. And that person is just playing their role. They're playing their role in your movie, right? They're playing their role in your movie. So how can you take a step back and say, what can I learn from this? How can I react differently? How can I forgive this? How can I let go? Maybe this person was just supposed to do this to me. And that's what that little soul from the sun, Little Soul and the Sun, I think that's what it's called, from Neil Donald Walsh, sort of plays out. Is like, wait a minute, this person was supposed to, and it's little children, it's little children. I think it's about like bullying or something around those lines. It's been years since I watched the movie, and like I said, there's a book. But maybe that person is just playing out their role perfectly for you, and now you're angry at them. But what can you learn? So shifting your perspective around those relationships, knowing that everybody, even people that hurt you, they don't necessarily mean it. They're acting from emotion oftentimes. They're acting from their own sense of survival. Another shift on this perspective is Anita Morgani, who's written a couple of books now at this point. But her book, Dying to Be Me, sort of showed her this different perspective of relationships and events that are happening in your life. And just as I teach about signs and synchronicity and that there are no accidents, it includes the people that you are in a relationship with. It includes the people around you. It includes the people that you are interacting with daily, or just somebody who cuts you off on the road, right? When you're driving and you don't even know who that person is. It's all happening for a reason. How can you shift your perspective and see it differently? And interestingly, when I was teaching the class on relationships in my membership community, somebody asked, can I do these, some of the exercises that I was doing with them, can I do these on someone who's passed away that maybe you're still holding on to issues with? 100%. That person, that soul of that person is still around you. That soul of that person, you can still have a conversation with. You can still shift your perspective and let go of emotions and things that are dragging you down and dragging your health down. And that person is still, not only that, but that person has a shifted perspective, right? Because once we go on the other side, we see things from everybody else's viewpoint, not just our own. We can see what we did to people. We can see how we hurt people. We can see the impact that our actions had on people. And so it's even more amazing if you can shift this perspective with someone who has passed on, knowing that their perspective has shifted also. And knowing, like, if they hurt you, especially if it's a parent or something like that, knowing that you chose your parents. Again, this is my belief system. A lot of people I know do believe this on a spiritual path. We chose our parents. We chose these lessons because they were the perfect lessons that we needed on our path to grow. Again, to learn forgiveness, to learn to move past things, to learn to love, to learn that we are love, to remember that everything is happening for a reason and we're here to learn and grow. So yes, all of this still applies to those people who have passed on that you might be struggling with, because nothing dies. Everything is still connected. You are still connected to those loved ones. They are still watching you. They are more connected to you now than they could have been when they were physically here. Susan, but there are people who do mean it, who are intentionally trying to cause harm. Oh, 100%. There's definitely people who are making choices to hurt you. What I'm saying is, can you look at it from the perspective of maybe this was planned out? Maybe this was supposed to happen to teach you something. Maybe this person did this for your own growth. And maybe this person did this because they're coming from their own hurt space. They're coming from their own scared space or their own need to do something for themselves, and they're not, they don't even realize what they're doing to you. Just shifting your perspective. I'm not saying people do things without realizing them. 100% people are doing things to be mean or to hurt you. But why? What is it that you are supposed to learn from it, and how can you take this and grow from it and move past it so that person can no longer trigger you in the same way? Because when you're holding on to all of that stuff, even if you're not in contact, even if you're like, okay, that person hurt me and I divorced them, or I'm no longer with them, or I don't see them anymore, I left that job, right? If you're still holding on to that stuff, number one, that person hasn't left you, right? You're still holding on to it, which is why I did that cord cutting visualization with people in my membership community. But number one, you're still holding on to it. Number two, it's causing physical issues in your body. You don't even realize it. You don't even realize the unprocessed emotions and experiences are causing your energy issues and eventually health issues. And we don't need to hold on to that, right? But can we shift our perspective? So that's sort of what I mean in terms of looking at things differently. And if you can look at things differently, everything can change for you. Everything can change in how you feel about certain things. You can release certain things when you shift your perspective and look at things differently. So that's what I am saying. Perfect topic today. Oh, thank you. I think it's Natalia. Going through it now. What's hard is the feeling of no remorse on their end. Yeah, 100%. And here's the thing. There could be somebody that hurts you who feels they're entirely justified, and for the remainder of their life until they die, go to the other side, get a life review, and realize, oh my gosh, look what I did. They may have that viewpoint. If you can shift and look at it from a higher perspective and say, they'll realize someday, but that's not my problem. Their non-remorse, their issues, the stuff that they're holding on to, the things that they did, that's their karma, that's their situation. How can I look at this and see, what is this teaching me? What do I need to do? How can I shift my perspective so that I'm not hanging on to the anger, so that I'm not hanging on to all of this? Maybe they were meant to do this. Maybe we set this up before we came here. And it doesn't matter if they feel bad about it or not. It matters how I'm feeling about it and what I'm carrying with me. And if I can shift my perspective, it's easier for me to heal from it. If I can shift my perspective, it's easier for me to let go of the anger, the heartache, the emotions, the sadness, the hurt. It's easier for me to let go of it, and that's what you want to do. You don't want to carry it with you. You do not want to carry it with you, because it will drag you down every time, whether you're conscious of it or not. All of a sudden, now you have health issues and you have no idea why, and you start looking at it from an energetic perspective, and you start realizing these beliefs and these unprocessed experiences are causing these problems. Your body talks to you through physical ailments to let you know there's something else going on. There's something deeper. We don't want to have to get there. We want to just release it and shift it. So that's what I mean by that. So anyway, that's why I decided to come on here and talk about it, because I thought, okay, I taught about it last week. Then I had some people in my one-on-one sessions who were dealing with stuff. And it's like, okay, yeah, especially, and again, I had someone who literally was having health problems being triggered by the people around them. And I was like, you have to set the energetic boundaries. You have to protect yourself. You have to shift. You have to shift your perspective. That's their stuff. I'm not going to be triggered by it anymore. What can I get from this, right? So that's why I wanted to come on here and talk about it. And I always know whatever I come on here and decide to talk about, there's a reason, and the right people will tune into it and the right people will find it. And so that's why I came up with relationships for this particular weekly spirit boost. So I thank you for being here and for tuning in. Reminder again, if you are not already part of the free Living an Elevated Existence Summit that is going on through April, and I do live interviews twice a week. I'm actually going to do a live interview today at 1 o'clock, all on healing and galactic healing and a lot of it is on mind, body healing, growing your intuition, and manifestation. That's where I bring all these experts in, and they all have free gifts and they all have special offers, and it's completely free to listen to all of them. So join me if you have not already, elevatedexistencesummit.com. You get free gifts from me just for signing up. And that is still happening, like I said. And if you've missed it, if you're like, Tammy, this is the first time I'm hearing about it, no problem. We do final replays at the end of the summit, and so you'll be able to get anything that you missed. You can also purchase all of the replays to have unlimited access for, I think it's like $47 or something, and it's 20 plus people. But you can listen entirely free. So I'm going to prep for that summit interview now. That is happening at 1, and I wish you all an amazing and beautiful weekend, as I always do, because this is on a Thursday. And basically, think about any relationships that you are struggling with right now and try to shift the perspective, and check out a couple of resources that I gave you guys in this, a couple of those books, and see if that can help you shift your perspective as well, and know that everything is happening in your life perfectly and for a reason, even when it does not look like it. But if we can shift our perspective, often we can find that reason and act on it. So thank you all for being here, and I will see you back here next week again at noon Eastern, and join in for the summit if you feel that resonates with you, elevatedexistencesummit.com. Bye everybody, have an amazing weekend.